Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio and the Spirit Society of Virginia in our Friday Inspirational Talks. And we are here with you to learn together. Yes, we're learning together, and today is a special day because this month of June is the anniversary of the Spirit Society of Virginia that started 14 years ago. And we celebrate with good works. And the whole month we're going to talk about the theme is winning friends in the good. Yes, because that's what Jesus taught us. And all the topics are to boost in us the joy of living and at the same time to strengthen our will and balance ourselves so we can go on co-creating with God. How exciting is that? We exist because God wants us to exist. We exist because God counts on our co-creation. There is no neutral position. Either we move forward or life is going to push us forward. And here we are together celebrating this with seeking the good. Before we get there, we're going to have a message to prepare us by our friend Camila. Right, Camila?
Thank you, Vanessa. Hello and welcome, everyone. Tonight we will read a very important message called Regarding Children from the book Conduta Espírita by the Spirit André Luiz and psychographed by Valdo Vieira and Chico Xavier, chapter 21st. See in the child's heart the blueprint of the next generation, trying to support him or her in all directions. Guidance during childhood results in prevention for the future. Sympathize with efforts that provide assistance to children, improving methods and amplifying tasks. Educating the little ones sublimates humanity. Collaborate decidedly in the recovery of maladjusted and sick children, striving for the reduction of infant mortality. During corporeal childhood, the spirit finds occasion to renew the basis of one's own life. Spiritist parents can and should enroll their children in schools with Spiritist Christian morals, so that the newly incarnated companions can safely start the new earthly experience. Parents are spiritually responsible as the chaperones of those resurging in the school of the flesh. Incessantly distribute works of children's Spiritist literature by incarnate and discarnate authors, collaborating effectively in the essential dissemination of the eternal truth. Uplifting books vaccinate children's minds against evil. Observe when you should or should not take children to doctrinal meetings. Order is an article of the law for all ages. Refrain from promising to the children who study any award or gifts as a reward or false encouragement for the success that they will meet with at school, so as not to addictively indulge their minds. The notion of responsibility in the smallest duties is the starting point for the fulfillment of great obligations. Do not allow children to participate in meetings or parties that pollute their feelings, and under no circumstances offer them gifts, either toys or books, likely to encourage them to hold any aggressive or belligerent attitudes. The child suffers deeply from the influence of the environment. Avoid enhancing the development of mediumistic faculties in children, nor allow them to witness activities where discarnates are being assisted, even when the children display disturbances of a mediumistic nature. In this case, they should receive help through prayer and the magnetic passes. The spirit will only gradually become acquainted to the realities of the incarnation. In every doctrinal disclosure, event, or development, do not forget the unique position of educating children within the Spiritist harvest, creating subdivisions and programs dedicated to children in particular. Without a good seed, there is no good harvest. Lastly, let us reflect on our Master Jesus' message. Let the children come unto me, and forbid them not, for theirs is the kingdom of God.
Thank you, Camila, for this deep message that was read by you. It's very deep, profound, and we invite everyone to join us in our prayer. Let us use this time, friends, to practice self-control, mind over matter exercise, inner work. I know we spend every day like doing multitasking. It's no good. Focus on the now. Feel ourselves as spirits and let us pray, feeling the presence of God. Dear God, we are deeply moved as we feel your loving presence at each breath. We observe ourselves beyond the physical body, our true nature, our essence, immortal, and with infinite opportunities of growth. We breathe in and out, willing to nourish ourselves of your loving molecules, so we can serve you, reaching out to those who are in greater need than us. We're tired of our selfishness. We're tired of our egotism. We don't seek tranquility. We seek work. We seek service and the natural tranquility that comes with it. Feeling your embrace of love, we pray that this hour be deeply empowering, and all the people who have prayer requests and have their names as well in the book of prayers, may they also receive the visit of healing, as may all hospitals, nursing homes, shelters, prisons, refugee camps, may everyone receive the healing hug of yours. And with your permission, we begin this night in gratitude for you allowed us to open the doors of Spiritism here in Virginia, allowed us to go through these 14 years with resilience and endurance, sustained and guided by you, Master Jesus, and his team, the mentors of the Spirit Society of Virginia. And so be it. All right. So first, as we usually do, Kardec comes first. And Daisy's here with us, right, Daisy?
That's right, Vanessa. So, friends, we're gonna do our very special Spirits Book moment. And today, it's even more important. Why? You might be asking why. Because we are entering in this chapter, part 4, chapter 1 of the Spirits Book, a section that talks about the loss of loved ones. At a time right now on earth where so many are experiencing the loss of loved ones who are being called back to our true home. In Spiritism, we get to know that here our existence on earth is just temporary. Our true home is in the spiritual realm. But there's so much for us to learn, and that is the beauty of this book. Because if we have any questions related to things in our lives, the loss of a loved one, when we have big changes in our lives, and as we go through the day to day, I'm sure we'll find right here the answer to our questions. So let us see what Kardec asked the higher spirits at question 934. Kardec asked, doesn't the loss of a loved one cause a suffering and act as a legitimate source of sorrow, since such loss is both irreparable and independent of our will? Kardec goes straight to the point, and he asks that doesn't the loss of a loved one cause us suffering? Isn't that true, friends? Don't we feel hurt? Don't we miss those who left us? So let us see the answers of the higher spirits and what they bring to us, because in Spiritism, we get the consolation that we need. And the first part of the answer says, this cause of sorrow strikes both the rich and the poor. So there is, in death, there's no separation. The rich, the poor, those who have certain material gains, those who don't, our social status, our titles, everyone will go through this, because that is a law of God, is a universal law. And yes, there will be sorrow, there will be suffering. However, in Spiritism, we learn that it doesn't mean that we're not gonna miss a loved one, but we know that this separation is only temporarily. We will meet again at some point or another, because here is just a minute in our immortal existence. So that is the consolation for us. We will pray for them. We will ask that they are taken care of, but we will not be desperate. That is the key. And they continue and they say, the death comprises of a trial or an expiation and is a law for all. So the loss of a loved one can be a trial, can be an opportunity for us to learn from this experience. It might be an expiation from a past life, but it's a law. As we say here in the United States, taxes and death, those are the two things that we are certain in life. But what can we do, friends? And that is the third part of the answer, because the high spirits tell us that it is a consolation, however, to be able to communicate with your friends through the means available to you, while we await other ways that are more direct and accessible to your senses. So they are reminding us that we can still communicate with those who have passed away. And you might be asking, how? We may and we should pray for them. We can emit good vibrations, not held them against the passing things of life, but pray, talk to them. We can practice the intelligible sleep, where, if possible, if we have the merit, we ask the spirit guides to be able in our sleep to be taken to places where, if possible, we could be able to visit loved ones. So there are many tools that we can use, and prayer is the fundamental one. But they tell us, they let us know that there will be in the future all the ways even easier and more direct that we'll have access to them. But for now, friends, prayer is our key. So if we miss a loved one, if we remember them, let's send them a prayer and good vibrations, and let us have this consolation in our hearts that we will meet again at some point or another. Only God knows, but we will, because that is for certain. This life is passing. And that's our Spirit's Book moment for today. Thank you, friends.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you. And we invite John DeRosa to join us. So let's talk a little bit. We're not here, friends. We're celebrating the anniversary of the center by thinking about the teachings that moved us through the years. The teachings are center stage for us. So we're bringing here John DeRosa, and I will be talking a little bit, and then later other friends will be joining us as well. We're going to talk about this major concept, seeking the good. Right, John?
Definitely. What else brings you joy in life but doing things for other people? I mean, it's I think many of us come into the world. I know I did when I was born. I came in screaming and crying because I developed colic. So I probably wasn't a spirit that wanted to come back, but I did. And, I went through a lot of yoga science with Victor Landia, as you know, and that kind of prepped me for what was to come, because I studied with him for 7 or 8 years. And during that, of course, they all, they're very coherent, as you know, with spiritism, reincarnation, past lives, karma, and they talk very much about doing karma yoga, which is doing the good, basically, what we're here to talk about. And that when they went down to see John of God in Brazil, and they came back. I think they went down 3 or 4 times. When they came back the first time, then that gave me the impetus to find out about Spiritism, because we know John of God was mentored by Chico Javier, the brilliant medium. And that led me to find the Spiritist Center of Virginia, in Chantilly, Virginia. And,
I remember that. But let me just make a comment here about John of God, though it's not the topic. He was not mentored by Chico. People say it.
Mhm.
He was not mentored. He was not even a spiritist. I met him personally, and he never claimed to be a spiritist per se, though he had spiritist workers in his place as well. Just a side comment.
No,
here.
that's okay. I'd gotten the bad. Well, I really don't even remember what the connection was, but somehow in researching him, it led me to the Spiritist Society of Virginia. And
Yeah.
yes, and
It's interesting, John, because when we talk about getting to know of Spiritism, the message of the spirits come to reinforce in all of its literature that doing the good is the only way. And doing the good is not external thing, it's the inner. And I want to show one slide so we can, from there on, inspired by Emmanuel, go on. It's a slide that we showed yesterday evening at Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m. when we were studying Emmanuel in a phenomenal book that we're studying every day, Laws of Love.
Laws of Love. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing when he talks about, let me just, I think it's good enough for all of us to see. He talks about the true medicine of the soul, and that's what we're talking about. He says it's when we read Spiritism and we study it so carefully that we will understand why it's important to be humble, to be benevolent, to be at service, to forget about ourselves, be selfless, abnegated, and then patient, and have hope, be charitable and optimistic. So it's interesting. We want to bring this topic, John and I, to talk about how important in Spiritism it is the effort of seeking the good in all situations, right, John?
Yes. It's interesting how each day we have the opportunity to, I call it the goodness opportunities. And the more you put yourself there to be able to do these things, the more they seem to offer you to do. And by having our dog Sonny, it really exposes me to obviously you got to walk him every day, and most of the time it's twice a day, and those are more of our neighbors that we come to meet and be able to talk to and share the good news with, because there's when you're talking to people, there seems to always be the opportunity to talk about what Christ offered to us, and it many times we'll pull out that little book, The Simplest Expression of Spiritism, and offer it to people, especially if we get on to the spiritual side of life. So this last couple of weeks have been just very, very intense with all the opportunities of we've had with people. I don't know whether you wanted to go into any of those.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about how it can encourage us. Like Leon Denis, in one of his books, he says, because to seek the good requires willingness, requires effort. He's not saying, look at the good, because you turn your head and you look at it, quote unquote, the movement of it all. But he's saying seeking, it implicitly, it says you need to make an effort. And when we talk about making efforts, we're talking about the force of will. In the book Thought and Life, we've studied already in the Spirit Side of DC and Virginia. We studied at Kardec Radio this book, Thought and Life, and it talks about in chapter 2 how will is so important. Leon Denis, in another book that we will study in August at the Spirit Society of Virginia, DC, in our Zoom meetings, is the book The Problem of the Being, the Destiny, and Pain, or however other name they translated. That's the title of the book by Leon Denis. And he said that our will, he says like this, it is with our will that we can change anything. The will is one of the most, is the greatest potencies of the soul, the greatest. So yesterday I heard a teenager saying to me, I'm not good at studying and I can't. And I said, that doesn't exist. There's no I can't, there's I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you may not want it, but there's no choice. We need to boost your willingness. So that's why your head comes before your heart. The want doesn't count. The head says, I need to, I have to. So we talk about in our daily lives on the importance of exercising our will, because it's not second nature for majority of people on earth to seek the good. For 99.9999%, they have no idea, no training, no north telling them, let's seek the good. Who teaches us that? Nobody does, right, John?
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you're brought up with your parents, and if they're good people, which I was brought up in a double wide family, I guess, because my Italian grandmother, she didn't want her daughters to leave, so I had two mothers. I had my mother and I had my aunt, which was my second mother, and then we had another daughter that stayed with us also. So we had a good example of doing the good, because all of us had to do chores around the house, and doing the good around the house is a really good basis for doing the good in other places for other people. And that I believe that sort of gave us a basis for always this desire to help, no matter what it was. I remember when I was in third grade or something like that, and of course I went to a Catholic grade school, and there was a young girl who had gotten sick. So I was like, I don't know, 10, 8 or 9, something like that, third grade. And the nun says, John, go get the janitor's mop and go clean up the mess that the girl made. And I didn't think twice about it. I went down, got it, and cleaned it up. Of course, I got a little sick that night, but that was, to me, I started doing the good at an early age. And you also mentioned the will, and it made me think of another situation that happened later in my life when I was like 49 or 50. This was before coming into, of course, I had been exposed to the yoga sciences, And I was riding my bike and I fell off of it on my way. I was checking on one of our sons was going to summer school, and I checked to make sure he was at the bus stop and everything was okay. And then I hurried into work, and I was riding my bike into work, and I was going over this wooden bridge I'd never gone over before, and it had moss on the bridge, and I lost control of my bike. But right before I lost control of my bike, I had what I later found out was a near-death experience, and I call it a white light moment, where it's just you cannot describe the feeling that you have from this white light upon you. It lasted maybe a second or two, and I guess I regained control of the bike. If I had fallen off, even though it wasn't very high, the bridge wasn't very high, if I had fallen into the rocks, I probably wouldn't be here right now. And they got me, the spirits, as far as I can tell, got me across. I fell down, broke my leg, and was put in the hospital. And while I was in the hospital, there was a older gentleman that obviously had some type of congestive problems, because he was having trouble. I assume he had cancer, and he was kind of screened off, but we talked every once in a while. And some of his family members came up from North Carolina to visit, and I believe it was a young girl. She was like 11 or 12 years old, and she was in school down there, and she came with her aunt to visit this relative that was in the hospital. And as they came in, I started talking to the young girl, and found out that she was struggling in school with this one particular subject. I think it was math. I'm not sure. And I basically gave her a pep talk, not even recognizing that I was doing a pep talk to her, and told her that all you have to do is have the will to master this subject and keep at it, and you'll do it. Mm-hmm. So she left, went over, talked to her relative, and as they were leaving, they said goodbye. And out in the hallway, I heard the young girl ask her aunt, "Can I come back in and give him a kiss?" Because she was so moved by what I said, and I didn't even realize it. So those opportunities are so beautiful that it just fills your heart with joy when I think about that particular instant.
Yes. So now I want to bring our friends here so we can keep talking together about this topic that John DeRosa and I were discussing about seeking the good, how it is, because in our world, when you talk about seeking the good, it's such a new concept. Like Leon Denis says to us, our will, our trust, and our optimism are preserving forces of the soul that rid us from unsettledness, from disturbances, because we're focused on the good, optimism. So always finding the good. Then I mentioned briefly before we started to some of you that I was chatting with the Geraldo Lemos Neto in Brazil, who knew Chico very closely. And I was asking him, because, I'm not a good example. None of us are, but always Jesus. And Chico Xavier, certainly, because he has a track record. So then when Chico Xavier, I asked Geraldo, can you please describe to us how was it when Chico Xavier had to see thousands of people on a Saturday? He would do his meetings on Fridays. Saturdays, he would spend the day with the people, thousands of people, who would line up to receive a few pennies, a few dollars, if I say it in dollars. And then Geraldo was describing Chico Xavier's joy, because he not only gave them money, but the kiss, the words. But imagine every week you're giving up your weekends, which we cannot do yet. Because we do a little bit and we feel, oh my gosh, I need a year of a break. Because we want to do at home nothing. If you said, oh, because I want to do greater good, no, because I want to do nothing. And people still justify because of family. If your family wants to do nothing, be my guest. You don't have to do nothing because of their choice. Because when we discarnate, we don't discarnate together. We may die together, but not discarnate together. And we'll be in trouble, especially we who know of it. So doing nothing is not something we're looking at. We're talking about seeking the good. When we talk about 14 years at the Spiritist Center, and working year after year, we're talking about seeking the good because the times are not always easy. But we need to seek the good. During this pandemic, we couldn't meet so much. We tried last year during summer, during spring, and now we're reviving it. But what have we done? We were seeking the good during this time. We are not paused. And when I talk about seek the good, I want to pass the word, but I want to remind because our dear friend Elsa Rossi is here. Thank you, Elsa. She's in London, and she's an example for us. She's 70. I know John is a little older than she is, but Elsa Rossi is also an example. And I don't want to put her on the spot, but she's also a host at Cardiac Radio. And recently, her birthday came along, and I've met her for so many years. I met her first in 2004. And here's somebody who is constantly bridging people up, constantly seeking ways of doing the good beyond words. Constantly, she's never giving up the good fight of the good. Why? Because some people, you call them and say, go seek the good. And they come next week and they say, I couldn't do anything. It's not simple. Right, Paloma?
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm thinking of one of the studies we participate from another during the pandemic, and they were saying today that we seek the good, we do our charity, but that's counts when we push our boundaries into doing the good. And that's when we really feel that we are contributing, and we feel it, right? And science has proven that when we do the good, we feel good. So yes, times might be hard, but we're also full of energy because of it. Are we tired? Yes. Are we stressed? Yes. Our family is demanding? Of course. Just challenges for us to overcome, be inspired by it, be inspired by others that are doing the same, and they are pushing their boundaries and bringing all of us together. And now we're here about, talking about 14 years of the SSVA that didn't come easy. Nevertheless, we are so blessed by having it and ready for 14 more years, or how many more Jesus wants us to have.
Yes, Paloma. And here we have another friend who is also tireless, Stephen from Ireland. Thank you for being here with us, Stephen, for being also a host at Cardiac Radio. And someone who also I've met when he began the efforts in 2010, the SSI, the Spiritist Society of Ireland, and the beautiful works that come. And now they have put together beautiful reading of the Spirit's book, Which brings us back to John DeRosa. You see, we didn't plan this, but that's how it is. So, John, years ago, you entered the center and you wanted to help, as always. And then little by little, you were participating at Cardiac Radio, doing some recordings. And then I remember when you said, I want to record the Spirit's book. And then what happened next?
Next, we had to have two of us. And bless our hearts, we got a hold of Steve Shepard. And of course, we did the voice of Allan Kardec, and he did the voice of the spirits. And it was I just enjoyed the heck out of it. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, yes, it was a lot of work, but
3 years of work. I remember weekly releasing the files at Cardiac Radio and editing for 3 whole years, right?
yes, I certainly had my family to entertain, because I was doing it in the area where the TV was, and I had to maintain silence from some of them for a few times, and they would always, it's funny, they would always give me a hard time, because they thought they were hearing what I was saying, but of course they were just poking fun at me, which didn't bother me in the least bit, but it was interesting. And we worked out a system between Steve and myself so that I would record the question and the answer, and then send it to Steve, and then he put in the answer and send it back to me, and then we'd put the music to it and make sure that it sounded good and didn't have a lot of hiccups in it, which I tend to do sometimes when I'm talking. And then send it to, at that time you were doing the 11 a.m. show from the Spiritist Center, and then that was part of it. And it's funny, today I drove out to the ashram, where Victor's ashram today, and I heard 2 segments there on Cardiac Radio. And I think one of the segments was one of the ones that Daisy mentioned. But
today. So it's so interesting, because at that time, Cardiac Radio was not video yet. It was only audio. So I want to show to people who want to listen to the Spirit's book, because now with the effort of the Spiritist Society of Ireland, they are recording weekly, but it's a video. So now we're welcoming, and we're very thankful that Masafeli and Steven and others, they are bringing this about every week so people can hear it, watch it. But if you want to just listen to it, it's so beautifully recorded. Let me share. And you say, where is it? So easy. It's so easy. You just go to cardiacradio.com. That's it. Nothing else. When you are here, it's pretty easy. Go to podcasts and then go to the Spirit's book. And then you'll be redirected to SoundCloud. And then you can go just play, bling, 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 bling. And you go through how many questions? 1,019 questions and answers. That's it. So easy. If you have the app, Virginia is going to give me back my phone so I can show to you where you find it thank you, Virginia. You're going to find it right here for those, because recently a listener asked us how to play this through the app. So when you go through the app at Cardiac Radio, it's free. You connect. We're here right now. Now, if you see this little thing here, the 3 traces, you click on it. It's going to open this window. And here you find the platforms for our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel, and SoundCloud. You just go there, bling, and you listen to the podcast, to the videos, however you like. So the app is going to play what's happening right now. But if you want to listen to podcasts, watch videos, you go through the app and click in the channels. You don't need to go everywhere else. Through the app, you get to all platforms. Very easy. And it's a beautiful thing, John. I want to ask you, we want to ask you, it's a question that we all have. When you worked in this effort, that bless you and Steve Shepard for such persistence and for working so diligently and leaving this legacy for us. It's a treasure. It's a treasure. So think about the people who are blind, cannot read. They can listen to Cardiac Radio. They can listen to this video, to this audio. So when you were recording and doing the voice of Kardec, and through the editings as well, are there things, thoughts, feelings that came to you that you want to share?
Boy, that's a wonderful question, and I guess one of the most important things that I can offer was I felt like there was just no way to stop me, that I was going to I didn't actually think of it this way, but there was nothing else. We were going to get through it between Steve and I. And there were times when, especially when there were certain segments that only Kardec was talking, and that really needed a lot of effort put into it. But there was never a question in my mind. There was nothing that was going to stand in our way of finishing that. But again, I say that now after it's over, and I have to look back at it and say that was the only feeling I had, that it was important that it get done.
Yes, thank God. And I want to talk to Carol a little bit about it, because you, Carol, have done works in which you've recorded books as well, André Luiz books, Manuel Filomeno de Miranda's books, and now you're doing the program that talks about the moral laws and the final parts of the Spirit's book. And when you read Kardec, as Leon Denis says, when you read an author, you feel connected to the author. And in this manner of seeking the good, would you like to share how it feels?
Yeah, it feels so healing for the soul, because it is as if Kardec has a mirror through which he can read where we are in our evolutionary progress. He understands us so deeply, and every time we read a question, we think to ourselves, Kardec really truly knows of the human psyche and mind, because it seems like he's right there next to us and is interpreting our very own questions to God. It's like he's a bridge between ourselves, Master Jesus, and our dear loving Creator. So it feels as though he brings the love of God closer to us. And it's so beautiful because he brings it through the light of reasoning. He is such, I say is because to us, he is living and we pay homage to him to this date and forward. He is such a brilliant educator that the way he answers the questions is crystal clear, that we feel as though a child could read it
and understand it, and someone else who is older could read it and understand it, and no matter where we are in our evolution, we still have a treasure to find from those questions and answers. And the way he organized the questions and answers are so logical that we see the beauty and the harmony of God, our Creator, through it. So it is almost as if we were having our own encounter with our Creator, and we have Kardec to thank as the divine bridge between ourselves and our universal Father, Mother, God. So it is the sacred time for us. Yes.
Thank you, Carol. And it's interesting because when we've studied the Thought and Life book, which is a summary, says Emmanuel in the preface, it's a summary of directives they give in the spiritual realm to those who are reincarnating for regeneration purposes. So we already here. It's a sign that those who are reading this, exposed to this, are being reminded of the plan that this life is to regenerate. So what is to regenerate? And then in chapter 10, there is the answer. He talks about understanding. Without understanding, we cannot go far. We're going to fail our reincarnatory plan. Seeking the good means in good times and in bad times, we are observing the good and faithfully holding on to it, whereas people may not see it. So for people on earth, the beauty of an easy life, tranquil, but that's not why we came here. We haven't come for this. And many people are nowadays misled by the illusions of the world. Materialism, thinking, oh, you buy your house, you have your family, you have your children, they grow up, and then you keep doing that. You're right. No, according to God's laws, no. That's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to sacrifice ourselves for the general good. And general good means the closest people to us and from there on. I'm not going to live happier in any place, work, home, anywhere, by escaping our duty to help one another, to serve, which Emmanuel says is medicine for the soul. And he says in this book that if we want to be free from ignorance, evil, wrongdoings, he says clearly, we must seek the good. We must feel the good. We must visualize the good. We must mold it with all the resources we have at hand. So here we have, right, Daisy, when we talk about this famous seeking the good, and nowadays the need for vaccination, right? And I was just reading today in the post by the Bloomberg School of Public Health at Johns Hopkins. We were talking about several organizations around the world giving incentives for people so they vaccinate. Since we're seeking the good at the SSVA as well, seeking the good by serving, would you like to share the news of the SSVA?
Yes, thank you, Vanessa. We are honored and so excited to share because it's in this effort to really push everyone to vaccinate, as we have discussed here at the Spirit Society of Virginia and Kardec Radio, the importance of vaccinating ourselves, because the virus, the coronavirus, is not going to go away. right? It's going to stay. We're not killing the virus itself, but we have a tool, a blast tool that we were given. The scientists brought to us the vaccine to help us protect ourselves. So in this effort, we are launching a beautiful campaign in this special month where, the Spirit Soul Society celebrate its 14th anniversary, and then in the 4th of July, we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Kardec Radio. In this month, we will be doing a campaign where those who, in this time period in the United States, between today, June 4th and July 4th, they get their first dose of the vaccine, and they send us an email with their vaccination card at either our info@ssvirginia.org or kardecradio@gmail.com. They will receive an Amazon gift card that they, has a way to incentivize people to really be in this effort. So it's going to be a big push. We invite everyone. It's not only for those in our group. Share it with your networks, because as President Biden shared with us this week, we need everyone to pass the message. Every organization, every individual to really join in. And it's an effort for us to educate others, to pass the message, and, and really join in. So.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you for sharing the good news. So soon we're going to be releasing later tonight the flyer in all of our platforms somewhat between today and tomorrow, so people get to know about it. We want to be encouragers. In the book, Jesus in the Home, Jesus taught us to be an encourager. He says the importance, the lesson of encouragement. We need to be encouragers because this is a matter that matters to all of us. It's not enough for me to be vaccinated. We need to help everyone be immunized for the sake of us all. And however fears we hear, talk to scientists, because some doctors, even doctors, may be outdated. Because when they graduate, they are on their own. It's up to them to be up to date with the latest advancement of science. And if they don't update themselves, they will pass on outdated information. That is not true. So there is a site that you can go to very safely. It's the National Library of Science, PubMed, PubMed.com. Just go there, or .org. Just go there. Type in the word you want, and you're going to get thousands of papers maybe related to what you want. And you can see what the scientists in the abstract, you can easily get a hand of it. And don't listen to the myths that people create. You just go straight to science. That's what we learn in Spiritism. And seek the good. When people are coming along and talking about, we don't know anything about this vaccine, I'm sorry. We know enough to make it safe. And look at the numbers. The numbers are going down as vaccines go up. It's science, friends. We can't beat the facts. And we in Spiritism, we seek the good by believing the supremacy of the good. When I hear people saying conspiracy theories, etc., they are obsessed because there is no proof. They're just videos, chats of people, and this is obsession. No, we believe in the good. And there is an international scientific community that agrees on vaccination. Point. Period. And there is no such thing as I don't want to, because at the end of the day, legally, it's said that employers can push employees to be vaccinated. Why? Because it's public health. It's no longer my health, your health. It's public health. So we in Spiritism, we seek the good in fulfilling our duties. Right, Luciana?
Right, it's so important. As you said, we need to seek in the right place. As we have the North with Jesus, Spiritism bringing us all this direction, we need to be doing our homework and seek this good where we can really find the true things and move on. And as we're talking about seeking and sharing this good, the first thing when I read this topic is like, how much good can we be doing, right, to humanity? So as we come together here and trying to learn from Kardec, trying to learn from Chico Xavier, how much good he has done for humanity, it brings so much joy to be like looking to know much more about their lives, how to behave, how to instruct ourselves, and then share and feel this joy, as Paloma mentioning, when we are doing this exercise of the good, the reward is instantly in our souls. And as we exercise, that emptiness that we have in our heart goes away, because we are actually aligned with this divine flow of love, and we are seeking and we are doing, we're sharing, and everything feels good, and then we feel all good.
Yes. And that's wonderful, right? So now I would like to wrap up this conversation with John. You're going to read a message for us, right, John?
Yes, I got two. I just thought of another one when we were talking about vaccinations, and it's called Love in Action. Vaccination is love in action. Don't hesitate or decide not to vaccinate. Set aside your vaccination fears. Yes, some people have reactions. That is true. Have you not suffered through the wintertime flu? Then you are equipped to handle any reaction from a shot or two. And those words written claiming these vaccinations were created too fast to really be true. These writers have no idea what trials and tests these vaccinations have really been put through. So let us set aside that wonderful excuse that it's my right to refuse. Because if we vaccinate enough of us, then we can overcome this virus by overcoming our selfishness and pride.
Wow. Send it to us, because if you allow us, we're going to add this poem to the announcements.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, John. But John, you had other things, right?
Well, the one other thing was back in February 21st of 2012, when I submitted a application. You had a contest going, asking for people to write. I think it was about Kardec's doing the charity. There's no salvation without charity. And I researched this today because I'd totally forgotten about it, what was written. And if you allow me, I'll read it.
Sure.
First, and most likely, the key component concerns your perspective, which should be focused on others, when all too often it is on ourselves. It is a very fine line between caring for oneself while caring for others. One must nourish their body and mind. In so doing, we prepare ourselves for helping others. This is demonstrated when we start every physical action with a prayer, where we are giving God recognition and praise for allowing us to accomplish something for another, not requesting help in securing our next salary raise. It is in the giving of oneself, either by physical assistance or actually listening to another when they are sharing a story or describing their challenges, or assuring when we talk to people we are giving information. Just in the simple act of taking the time to give someone correct and proper directions when they are lost, or actually touching someone when you are listening to them or talking to them, bidding them hello or goodbye, as touch is magical. So many things we may at first take for granted will many times be just the thing that was necessary at that time. This means being in touch with your soul or spirit, so when one prays or performs that physical work or use their energy to listen or talk, then during these actions there is a vibration that many times you will experience. Hopefully this vibration is felt when doing or speaking or listening to the truth. And when I read this, I said to myself, I had nothing to do with Spiritism until this point, and I said, my God, I'm a Spiritist back then in 2012.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, John. So we want to share with our friends here that it's worthwhile seeking the good. Today we are here thanks to this effort that the spirits are constantly coaching on us to seek the good. Don't give up on the good, because the good is the only way to go. The only way. When people say, I'm tired of being a good person, Mamma mia, so what you're going to be then? You're going to be a bad person now to give you a break? It's like a vacation from the good. What can come out of this? Only evil things, and you may never come back. So don't take that trip, because that trip is to abyss, and it may take lives to correct it. So no. Some parents, now we need to finalize as we seek the good on how important it is. Mentor Joe says, don't dare to finish before talking to parents. Okay, check to parents. Teaching children to seek the good is the most fundamental thing. Dr. Martin Seligman has a beautiful program proving to us that when we teach our children to be optimistic, as Leon Denis says, when we teach our children to be of strong will in terms of doing the good, serving, we're saving their lives. When we see children nowadays who are thinking of suicide, yes, they may have come from a good family, but they were not introduced to a rehabilitating program. We need to give to our children from the get-go the direction. When they come to you and say, that teacher is not fair, don't go there protecting your baby. You say, look, your teacher may not be doing the best, but it's her problem, not ours. We're not going to help her by reacting to it. So let us pray for her. We may not agree. Let's pray. Oh, but that friend of mine, okay. But they may be sick. They may not be doing well, because only those who are unhappy make people unhappy. Because people who are happy make happy people too. Make people happy too. So for us, we need to teach our children always. Come on, stand up, go on. You were born to progress. You were born as an affirmation that Mentor Joseph loves us to repeat. You're a child of God. Telling your children, God loves you. You are light. You are love. You are joy of being. We need to brainwash our children with love, because only love heals. Only love is the direction. Do not allow, as the good spirits say in the gospel gospel according to Spiritism. St. Augustine says, chapter 14, time 9, do not allow your children to be selfish and proud, because it's going to come back to you. No, humble them, saying, yes, it's okay. If you need to be the only child who shares, the only child who is without something because another child needed it, you don't want to be number one in terms of things. You want to be number one in love. You want to be number one in kindness. You want to be number one in resilience, in endurance. When everybody's screaming, oh my gosh, the test. Come on, people. What's the fuzz about it? Test is just an exercise on a special day. That's all it is. Right? It's like, it's just the daily exercise we do at homework, but on a special day we call test. That's all it is. It doesn't define us. There's no need to be worried about it. Calming the spirits. We won't change our planet until the new generations function differently. So the key word, the key expression is seek the good. And only good comes out of this. We're going to wrap up with a prayer that Carlos, who has also participated all these years and has been a part of it, is going to lead us into this prayer. Okay?
Dear Lord, spiritual friends, we here this moment are so happy to be part of something special, to be part of this feeling and attitude of wanting to be better, of wanting to do better, of making sure that we are expressing better things. So everybody that is listening to it now feels better as well. Because this is the good news. And this is what our Master Jesus brought to us. And this is what the future has to be. Has to be all about the good news. May God bless us all that are interested to express and seek the good all the time. May God bless us and the ones that do not see it yet. But we, the ones that want to seek the good always, are also visualizing these ones. One day, looking for the good, seeking the good, and also using the good news as part of as their everyday life. So, dear Jesus, we want to thank you and ask permission to finish this part of our meeting tonight. And so be it.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, friends. We'll bring Camila, who is also here with us. We want to wish everyone, thank you, Sally. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Elsa, Steven, Sol, Narciso, Michelle, Daniel, and all the friends who are connecting always with us. If you have any questions, suggestions, we're always here. But don't forget, if you're local, where are we going to meet tomorrow? At the Spirit Side of Virginia. We're going to have our gospel under the pine tree at 11 a.m. And if you are far away, we'll meet you tonight at 11 p.m. because tonight at 11 p.m. in the Laws of Love, We're going to continue talking about sufferings, and now it's about obsession and mental currents. Join us and continue to be tuned at Kardec Radio always. Thank you, friends.